All right, we're going to start the second half of our interview with Jen Hegwood, talking about the LBGTQ RSVPT community, and I don't make light of it, but only because I try to be a little jokeful on the podcast, but just wanting to basically understand the community, what aspects that really should be taken and respected, and all of it should be respected, just kind of like we had mentioned in the beginning of the first episode, just being two average Midwestern guys, making sure we understand without offending or isolating. So, again, you can catch this episode on YouTube. It'll be connected to our Twitter website, which is Dadspective1, and on our Facebook page of Dadspective. So, again, Jen, thanks for taking time out from your busy, hectic schedule and talking with us today. And then where we kind of left off is kind of the current state of affairs. And you brought up a really good point about feeling like, although you have rights and certain states do have those rights to get married, to share benefits, that we as an entire country are not all the way there yet. And that you had felt like things were a little more fluid in the sense of that they could go away at any moment. Like if there was a presidential change, and I'm not getting into a presidential debate here. I'm just saying. But there's a president, a new president could come into office and have a different set of values and take all those things away. Whereas, if myself or Tim, married traditional ways, that's never going to change. So I guess I'd like you to kind of keep going on to where, you're a little nervous about that, but let's go into what do you think needs to happen to maybe solidify that?
Well, I think the main perspective on this is not just whether or not I have the rights I need or deserve in the United States. Outside other aspects, countries, I would be killed for who I am.
Sure.
So that in itself, the education of who I am or who we are, needs to be more prevalent in schools, I believe. There's more education so that people understand more. But I do fear that something could change as easily as taking away the rights that I feel that I've gained, that I earned. We've been together for a decade. So to me, it's no question. I mean, there's common law marriage after, 7 years for anybody.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not sure anymore.
I mean, not just anybody, but you understand where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
It's scary to think that could happen, yes. However, since we lived the way we did before, we would do the same after. So that would change no perspective on us. And we have made provisions legally, so that wouldn't be a problem either. So there are ways around it. However, to have the legitimacy of it and to be able to have the wedding that I have, which I never thought I'd be able to do, that was a privilege, and I was grateful for it. So I don't know where things are headed. I just know that being able to have the rights that I have makes me feel more secure in who I am. It makes me feel more normal, if that's the word I'm going to use, which is very loosely used. So to be able to have that perspective is a great honor to me. And I think it's taken for granted by a lot of people, whether you're heterosexual or not.
Mm-hmm. And do you think... go ahead, Tim.
Well, I was just going to bring about the point that the fact is that I think the whole idea of making it illegal or keeping it illegal or threatening to make it illegal again, it's just all threatening. I mean, certain policies, they're feeling threatened. So in my head, I'm trying to figure out, okay, who is feeling threatened?
I like the word. I like the choice, threatened, because
that's all it is.
Yeah, it's the only way really to describe it, because really in all normal circumstances, I am not a threat. My lifestyle should not be a threat. It is my life. So, but people judging it for what it's worth to the future generations, I understand their perspective as well. It's not an easy choice or decision to make, especially with us mostly living off the book of the Bible and its words, between a man and a woman. I never once wanted to mess with that union, but I was given that right, and I took that right as an American. So there's a difference. Yeah, there is a big difference.
So if I continue on with my thought process, okay, who is threatened? And you brought up a good fact, a good point where education, okay? Yes. If we get people informed about all the stuff that's going on, is that going to take away the threat? In my head, I'm trying to figure this out.
I don't think so because, you're being educated right now. All of you are. All of us are. Every day we walk outside, there's either a gay couple or some flamboyant boy over here or a transsexual over there. It is out there. It is in front of us. It's on the media. It's on television. There's no escaping what is actually out there. And I think that's the part that it needs to tone down a little bit. It doesn't have to be proven so much, but
it doesn't need to be in your face. That's the thing. That's my personal feeling. It doesn't need to be in my face to be legitimate.
Right, because you know it's there. You see it all the time. It's going to be prevalent in everyone's life, and most people it's going to affect them personally because a sibling, a child, someone may be gay. It's how you react to it that will determine that person's life moving forward. It really will, because family is very important. Most people will just walk away from a family, but if you're gifted enough to have loved ones that do care, they will stick around, and I'm proof of that. So I think it has to do with a lot of education needed out there, but I don't know how you would educate when things change so drastically. As Pat mentioned earlier, with the way, he listed off all the letters correctly, trans, this, trans. It's just, there's going to be another 20 behind it within the year, I'm sure. So it is hard to keep up, whether you're heterosexual or not, even myself, with the changes that are happening out there so rapidly right now. And like we were talking, I think that a lot of education will help, but I don't know what its effectiveness will be, since you're seeing it anyway.
Right. It's where people take it, obviously.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely.
And do you think that maybe policy is hesitant, or people are hesitant because the evolution on the understanding of what is truly a choice and what is not, for lack of a better thinking, is what is truly a choice and what is truly just someone throwing something in your face, to be recognized, to grab their a lot of their 15 minutes of fame. Is it that, or is it that I really do choose to be to love a certain way?
I've flipped through Twitter. I've done all those things, and quite frankly, I've been shocked on some of it. Some of it I question simply because I don't even know. And, if I can't tell, then how is anybody else going to tell? Or what is this? Because I don't understand. And I will have to look it up. I'm from a generation that it was kept quiet because you were scared, just point blank. The generation now, they have no fear. They are going to do and be what they want to be, which, is honorable, but it's how you approach that and how you do that. And I think a lot of people are just reaching out with, the makeup tutorials, and some guys look better than girls. I'm serious. It's kind of frightening how fluid, as we spoke, things are becoming, because I don't think you can identify who you are if things are that fluid. It was a struggle for me, so let alone the new generation. They can do whatever they want. So with that ability, that's dangerous. That's dangerous territory. Mm-hmm. So more education to them is needed as well. Any of us can use education, as long as it teaches you that hate is wrong. A lot of hate out there still, and I think that alone keeps a lot of us still pretty protected in our own homes. Mm-hmm. Not that we don't go out and have a good time. It's just it's not something. Yeah, it's still
something always in the back of your mind. Yeah,
it definitely is. It is, because just the other day we were buying Tracy's desk, and he comes over, well, right over here, sir. And I went, I'm sorry. And he goes, oh God, I'm so sorry. I said, no, it's all right. But see how embarrassed he was. He was more embarrassed than I was. So that just goes to show you that if I had given that man a hard time, this would probably affect him for a while. Mm-hmm. But I didn't. I let him know it was simply a mistake. It's okay. But most people won't do that. Most people will take offense and they'll say, look, man, I'm not a guy. No, well, you look like one. You know, I mean, I could understand that. So
throws up more walls.
Yes.
That's all it
but
does.
So if it's the way you approach or the way I might approach, it just depends on who the person is too. I personally, Tracy loves Texas. I won't ever step foot in Texas. You know, it's just my own personal opinion. So it just depends on where you're at and what you're doing and the type of level of respect you give another person, whether this is a race, religion, or a sexuality. It really, we all bleed the same. We're all humans, and the kindness needs to just kick it up a notch on any level. But I do understand a lot of people's struggles to understand, because it's not something that you just, oh yeah, I accept it. No, it took me years to accept myself. So let alone somebody just, okay, it's going to take a while, and it's going to be a trial and error, even for family. I mean, love
on both sides. That's the thing. On both sides, for the community that's being affected and the community that's trying to understand. So
absolutely.
Both elements are in flux right now.
And I'm really glad you guys wanted to bring this subject up, simply because, well, you have me to talk about it, but you also want to know, and that's important to me. So that's why I agreed. I think it's good that you have questions, and it makes me feel good that you want to ask them to me, because like I said, I may not be the best person to ask, but I will be very honest about how this happened or why this happened. And like I said, I don't think God makes mistakes. So that's a personal opinion.
You bet.
Kind of pushing on that a little more is now with the identification of more different walks of life. I don't think that's right. It's different life choices. There starts to become some legal precedents of identification, and that may not necessarily be of the LGBTQ community, but that necessarily of identifying just gender, period. And you know, there's a lot of controversy that's come around that. I can't say I can speak to all of it, but things I think that has kind of come to the forefront, and Tim and I have talked about this in the past, is that of sports and how a person identifies themselves. If they are born with what is conceived, seen as male parts, but maybe identify as a female, where does that lie in the world of sports? Or vice versa, if they are a female and they identify as a male, where does that lie in sports? And where's the line of fairness when it comes to athletic competition? As you're a kid and things, you grow up and you everybody plays YMCA soccer and it's always co-ed and whatnot. But there comes a point where, and we've talked about this in other podcasts about the true, real level of competition junior high and high school sports have become, that and college, that that identification and that clarification has become more and more necessary.
Well, I will identify that the fact I could very well take a ton of testosterone, and I could literally outbeat any woman, even in my 50s probably, with the medications they would give me to turn me into a man, which I have no desire to do. But I could do that. And is that really fair for me to be able to do that and compete in that manner? No, so they're going to want to bump me up to the male. And is that really fair then even? That is a good question, Pat, because I, again, will struggle with an answer to that, because I don't see the fairness in it. Even though you've pumped me full of everything and I'm stronger than most, Amazonian women, then I think my competitive level there, and of course with the training that I would have, I would be stronger than most women on any field. So they'd have to bump me to a different category, which then would be a male category. At that point, I am almost even, but still not. I still have the bone structure of a woman. I know medications and things change a person into who they need to be, and that's a whole nother subject, Pat. But I believe that, I don't know, maybe a whole new category needs to pop up. Because that is a very strong question.
Yeah, there are so many avenues. There's so many avenues that every question I ask could spawn. And probably why we're doing a 2-part, which we could probably turn into a 6-part miniseries, But really, it's just the concept of having the discussion, or probably just touching the very, very first snowflake of an iceberg of understanding to all this. And just, I think the things that run into my head when I think of this community is I don't necessarily ever question anymore that it's a choice anymore. I think it's something that you're born with. It's not a matter of you decided you're going to be gay or you're going to be straight. It's what you feel naturally drawn towards, what your chemistry is, those things. And I think that society is slow to pick up on that. Not slow, but not as fast as we had hoped, as other countries are. And there are some countries that don't do anything, but there are some countries that are. This was so yesterday's news. I don't know why we're still talking about it. So
America is awful hesitant about the whole topic. Yes.
Right.
But where do you draw the line?
Right.
And Pat's right. There is a fine line there, because I agree with some of the athletes. Why can this person, and right there, he has now been put into a category, be able to compete at my level? Whether that person's qualified to or not, the changing of their sex, in my mind, adds another level to what we're discussing. It's not that I don't want them to compete. It's not that I don't want them to have the ability to win.
Yeah.
It's just, is that the proper platform for what is now taking place in this person's demeanor, their presence on this planet? At one time they were this person. Now they're someone completely different. And that's now playing against the norms, just like any of this does. But how far do you take that? That line, that's a deep line, Pat. I don't even know the answer.
And I don't know. I can't say I personally run into it. I don't think that, my kids are both older, and Tim's kids are out of high school, so I don't think I'll ever really run into it on a personal level. Maybe see something, but I won't ever have it affect me, maybe
now,
my grandkids. So
I have friends that have changed, have made that leap of faith. Jackie, who I knew most of my life, had become Jack, and literally down to the core, if you know what I mean. And it did not change who Jack was inside. It changed everything Jack was outside, to the point of non-recognition on my part. So that changes how I viewed Jack thereafter. And so to me, it's even still a struggle. And I'm not going to say I don't agree. If someone feels that strongly about it, that they would go through all of that, then that's their conscience, their mind, their belief. I'm not the person to judge that at all, ever.
No.
But it makes me question my thought process and how I think about someone. So I can only imagine, as dads, white, Caucasian, heterosexual males, your thought process on any of this. So I do understand the struggles that anyone would have, understanding whether it be in sports, whether it be in marriage, or whether it just be in general out in the public. It's got to be a difficult process for anybody, on my end and yours, to accept or to understand what's happening in our world. And I think if we were all a little more open about it and discussions like this, we'd have a lot more understanding, I think.
Sure.
I don't really know all the answers, but I'd like to think that there's a place for everybody.
Hold on, let me write that down. Doesn't have all the answers. I'll highlight
don't
there.
tell my mom I said that.
And I guess that leads us to, we're in our last 10 minutes here, the where you think as a society we need to go next. I know you're saying you don't have all the answers, but there has to be a couple things that you would say, where we need to go. I know you've alluded to education.
Let me throw a twist in this.
Yeah.
Let me throw a twist in this.
You round us all up, put us on a nice island, and
let
us go.
All right.
No, the future of how this is approached, I think we all know it's there. It's going to be there. It's going to grow. Only because it's going to be more comfortable for people. I think that's a loose word, comfortable.
More
because
accepting.
it still brings anxiety to quite a few people, and more people than not will change a seat if they're sitting next to me in a concert, just because. And it's hard to watch that. It's hard to see it. It's hard to watch them have to go through that, because I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to eat your popcorn or anything. It's just, I don't know what their thoughts are, but it is sometimes how a person was raised. It's the education they have about it, and it's also whether or not they think that they can deal with it. If you can't, then that's on you. And moving forward,
some people aren't strong enough. Obviously,
no.
I mean,
and that strength has to be
from the
there.
choices they've made. Yes,
you're right, because the strength has to be there. It has to correlate with everything else, and if it's not there, then I would just turn around and walk away. Because there's nothing that you can say or do. It's not like we're going to all crawl right back into that closet. It's now more prevalent than ever that people understand this is how I choose to live my life. If you choose not to be a part of that, I understand, and I'm saddened. However, that is on you. And that's really where this will go, I think, Pat. More people will start to stand their ground. And I don't think we need to showcase it like most people do. I think that just being as what they call normal as possible, and doing just like everybody else, paying our taxes, paying our bills, I think that will lean more towards more acceptance. I really do. I am scared about the political aspect of it, Pat, and I think we should talk about that more in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a topic that really is at the core of all this latter port discussion of the future of it? Do we just need to keep government out of it?
It would be great. However, there's always religion mixed with everything.
Yeah.
So, and that's not a bad thing. It is what it is. I'm just very fearful of the wrong people doing the wrong things. I guess
For the wrong
the
reason.
way to say it. I don't know how to say that without it being more political. I am afraid that what I have earned and what I do not take advantage of will be taken away from me simply because of who I am. And that needs to change. That really does.
So what we have about 5 minutes left here, so I want to make sure I'm going to flip the script a little bit, as Tim would say, and ask you, Jen, if you have questions that you would like to make sure we know, or make sure what you thought we would know, or how we understand things that you'd like to ask us. We haven't done that, have we, Tim? We haven't asked them if they've had questions for us.
Flip that switch.
Well, sure.
So
let's see. Well, Pat, I know both you and Tim are very, well, not very. You're both religious men. You were raised a certain religious sect. Your beliefs are very strong. Does that affect how you feel about me?
No.
No?
When
and it should. If I'm completely 100% honest about how my religion sees it, it should affect how I see you, but it doesn't.
Yes. Yeah, but we're related. I don't think that's very biased.
Well, okay, so from my perspective, I met you, and I would say, looking back now, and I probably, as dumb as I was then, probably didn't realize it, but really, looking back at it, the turmoil that you were, the world, the turmoil you were in. I know you alluded to earlier, well, I dated Tim's friends and this, and I'm like, well, and some of those didn't go well, but I think that's based a lot upon the turmoil that you were going through by yourself, right? So, to me, when Tim kind of, so to me, as I got older and grad school and life happens, I'm like, I bet Jen's gay. I bet she's gay. I bet that's the whole deal. And then I said to Tim, I said, and he goes, oh yeah. And I'm like, well,
yeah.
That's it. I had no, but so to me, it wasn't a matter of a judgment. It was a matter of like, oh, she's got to be at peace with this. So.
I will tell you a real short story.
Okay.
A gentleman that I went to prom with, Rich, found me on Facebook a few years back. And he sent me a personal message. And it said, I understand now. I feel sorry for that boy, if you know what I mean. He's the sweetest guy, but that's all he wrote me. And we're pretty close now. On Facebook, but it just cracked me up because he stepped back and thought, you know what, it wasn't me. She was gay. That's why.
Right. It's not me, it's you.
So, I mean, for all of the heartache that I caused in those terms, that was hard. It was a struggle, yes. Yeah. But it took a long time to realize who I was. So these younger kids who just adamantly, I am who I am. It's shocking to me, and it will continue to be shocking to see in the future what transpires out of all of it.
Right.
So
no, I was never in turmoil with, or I never was conflicted with my religious faith about your life choices. No, it was more, I think, just looking back and going, oh, man, that really made, like your prom date, oh, that makes a lot of sense. It was more like, this makes a lot of sense why things were in a turmoil, and then to see you, like thriving and living in Arizona, then to me it's like, well, this couldn't have turned out for the better, so no, I didn't. There wasn't any.
It's sad that I had to make that leap of faith, but
sure,
it was the best move I ever made.
Sure. Any other questions or anything? We have about 3 minutes.
No, I'm just really glad you guys are still friends all these years.
Yeah, Tim and I have been friends since about 16, 17, we met each other, and then really became friends after we went to tech together. Did you ever go to a tech, Jen?
Actually, I did do tech back in Omaha.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah.
But it was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
30.
In a small town, far away.
You know what, Jen? That is literally another life ago.
Yes, it is. But I just wanted to let you guys know it's great to see that your friendship has endured, and it has been a pleasure to be on the show with you guys.
Well, no problem. We appreciate that. I know sometimes some of these things cannot be easy to talk about, but you've been very candid with us and respectful of the time constraints that we are under. And so we appreciate it very much. And remember that you can find this on our Twitter page at Dadspective1 and on our Facebook page at Dadspective. Remember, we also accept comments, critiques, criticisms, and information. Remember, we are not the information source. We are not the authority on any of this, and neither is Jen, to be honest, and she said that. She's just one perspective. And so if you have comments or things, just remember, we're happy to hear them, but please be respectful of the fact that we're just trying to understand our lives better. And if you have resources or thoughts that are beneficial to all, we are more than happy to hear them. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Tim, or...
Well, just that fact that, we are always looking for more ideas of people to talk to. We're looking for more avenues for an increased awareness of our world, and that's what we're all about. And that's what that's the bottom line for Dadspective.
Yeah.
trying
bring
to.
Mike back, and we'll do that conspiracy theory. I'm all over that. I am all over that.
Oh,
There's
open
not enough-
that can of worms.
There's not enough Zoom
Open
meeting
up
space
the
for that.
mic.
Yeah. Open up the mic. That would be a good podcast name. Open up the mic.
Open up the mic. That's right.
So yeah, but thank you again, and I'm sure that once Tim and I figure out to do our manhood trip across the United States, that we'll definitely be coming and crashing on your couches. So we will see you soon. Okay, sweetheart. Thank you for talking
all
with
right.
us.
Take care. Thanks, Pat. Thanks,
bet.
Tim.
Love you. Bye.